Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie, and for those of you who are new, my husband and I are documenting our journey through IVF, our marriage, our faith, and our first pregnancy with our sweet little baby boy that is due in March. So we are getting super close, and today I'm just going to talk to you guys about my weeks 27 and 28 update and just notable things that happened that week, a couple of funny stories that happened in those 2 weeks, because you guys know I like to share my funny stories so that you can laugh along with me on this crazy journey that we're going down. So the most notable thing that happened in week 27 was just me going to the doctor and doing my glucose test. It was also just a quick little checkup where they're just doing the little Doppler on my stomach and measuring me, checking your weight, peeing in a cup, all the fun stuff that they do. All of that checked out and came back fine. And then but going into it, I wasn't 100% sure like on the glucose test part. I know that I had asked my doctor before if there were options that we could do instead of doing the wonderful drink, and that was not an option with my doctor, so it is what it is. I do have some clips, I will insert those here from just me before the doctor and then going in and having the actual heartbeat, so I'll insert that now. Good morning, friends. So I am 27 weeks and I am at the doctor's office. We are doing the glucose test today. I actually already went in. I checked in early and they called me back right away and told me to drink the drink. And so they gave me an option and she was like, do you want orange or fruit punch? And I was like, well, which one do you think is better? Because I've heard all of the wonderful stories. And she's like, I hear better results with the orange. So I chose the orange. I did not think it was bad at all. But one of my things is I don't like warm drinks like water. I cannot do water when it's warm. And so I was like, oh man, I hope this thing is not gonna be like a lukewarm drink. And luckily it's not. It comes straight out of the fridge. But I didn't realize that they give you 5 minutes to drink it and then that's it. You have 5 minutes and then you're ready to go. Again, not as bad as what a lot of people, I guess, make it out to be. In my opinion, it was not bad. Now I'm just waiting to go back in an hour and do my blood draw, and fingers crossed everything is good. So I will keep you guys posted. All right, checking back in. So I got my blood drawn. I don't know if you can see my little bandage there. So I asked how long it would take before I find out the results. I was thinking this afternoon, but my doctor's office closes a little early on Fridays. So I was like, well, will I hear the results today? And she's like, oh no, it'll probably be like Wednesday. I was like, Wednesday, really? She's like, yeah, it's usually like a 48-hour turnaround time. I was like, oh, okay. So I guess I will know sometime next week what it is. So I will keep you guys updated. I never felt nauseous or sick or anything like that. I did bring some crackers for after my appointment just in case. But I feel fine. I don't feel bad. I'll probably go ahead and eat the crackers as I'm going home just so I have something on my stomach because I haven't eaten anything. I did. That was the other like confusing thing. My doctor wanted me to fast. Other doctors and people that I've seen post say that they eat breakfast or their doctors tell them to eat a light breakfast. So again, it is totally going to be your doctor's call. Mine, like I said, just wanted me to fast. So that's what I did. I did have an actual appointment with the nurse practitioner today. She checked my stomach and she said everything measures right on track. So I guess 27 centimeters, I would assume, which is right where I'm at. And then we did get a heartbeat this time. So if you remember from my last update video, he was moving around so much that all we heard was like the wave noise from him just moving. So today he was actually chill, which was surprising being I just had that drink. And so I will insert a little clip here of just his heartbeat that we got to hear. So I wasn't in a big like rush to get the results back. I was hoping that everything was fine, but you know, you just never know. And so Saturday morning, I actually checked my email and I had an email from the lab saying that I had new results. Now, if you remember watching my like week 10, week 11, I'll link the video up here. If you remember watching that video, you know that I got lab results then and it sent me down just a rabbit hole of fear and just a crying weekend, and it was just miserable. And so I was like, I don't know that I believe these results, so I'm just gonna wait until Monday when I can talk to my doctor. The results, I did click on them and they did say that I passed, but again, I just wanted to make sure that that is truly what it was. And I did also make sure to really read the results this time and make sure they were from that day and all of that kind of stuff. My doctor did confirm on Monday. I did pass. I think my levels were 95, and I think the highest it's supposed to be is like 130. I don't know if that's just a blanket 130 for everybody or if that's like just my doctor's levels, but that's the marker that they had on mine. So I passed and everything was fine. So thumbs up, me and baby boy are doing just fine. So at the very end of my week 27 is when my husband came home with a head cold. Yay, we had done so good so far without either one of us getting sick. I was hoping, we were trying to, keep our distance as much as possible. I ended up getting sick on like the very start of my week 28. So I had gotten up and done my workout that morning, and I just felt, this is always my number one sign that I'm about to get sick, is I just feel drained and like I don't have very much energy. And that was my first indication. I was like, oh man, because my husband's head cold didn't last very long. He was over it in about 2.5 days. So mine wasn't a huge head cold. It was a head cold definitely, but it wasn't super severe where I was like, oh, I need to go to the doctor. It was just, I was stopped up in my nose, and that was basically it. I started getting a cough, but my throat never hurt. It wasn't ever in my chest, nothing like that. It was just, I was just stopped up. And so I was trying to just tough it out because I didn't want to take medicine because there's so many different opinions, and my doctor might say one thing, your doctor might say another, so-and-so's doctor might say a totally different thing. And so I'm like, it's just, there's so much different opinions that it's confusing. And I hope that I'm not the only one that feels that way, but that just makes me worried because I'm like, well, who's right and who's wrong? Because somebody has to be wrong. And I didn't want to take anything that would harm baby. I'm like, I can tough this out as long as it doesn't do anything and doesn't hurt him. So I finally had to break down though, because the next week was going to be Christmas and I didn't want to miss being able to go home and see our families. So I broke down on Friday and I went to go and get some medicine. So I had already asked my doctor like what I could take if I got a head cold, because I had kind of warned them ahead of time that my husband had gotten sick, and they had told me that I could take Sudafed, Robitussin, or Mucinex. Like I've told you guys before, my husband was a corpsman in the Navy. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that he is a doctor and that he has gone to medical school. I fully understand that, but I do trust his opinion because I do know that he has background in the medical field. So he had told me, don't get Mucinex. You don't need that because it's not in your chest. You need the Sudafed. So that's what I was going for. Here's another reason why I was like so just against the medicine, is because I go to Walmart to get the Sudafed. I am looking at the labels, trying to be very clear on what I'm grabbing, and the first box I picked up of Sudafed says that it has ibuprofen. And I'm like, well, I can't have ibuprofen, so I put that one back. So I grab another Sudafed and I look at the thing and it says that it has acetaminophen. And I'm like, well, this is great. This is Tylenol. This is what I need. So as I'm like grabbing it and I'm starting to walk away, I'm like, you know what? There's nobody over here at the pharmacist. I'm just gonna make sure that this is what I need. So I go to the pharmacist and I ask him, I said, can I take this if I'm pregnant? And he asked how far along I was, and I told him I was about 7 months along. And he said, no, that I couldn't because of some word. And so I'll write that up here. But again, this is just the pharmacist that I talked to. Make sure, double check, do all of your research and stuff. Don't take my word for it, but I'm just giving you my story and my experience. So I'm asking him like, what's the difference and why can't I take this? Because it says that it's Sudafed, and he's like, well, you can't take it because of this word. And I'm like, that doesn't, like, I'm not in the medical background. This doesn't make sense to me. So anyways, he was saying that they have Sudafed in the back, but you have to be, you have to have your ID to get it. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, people can, make things with Sudafed and this stuff they can't. And I'm like, that makes sense. Okay. I'm like, but what's the difference? Because this says Sudafed on it. It had some extra stuff behind it, but it did say Sudafed. And he said, this Sudafed that they had behind the counter is the real Sudafed that I needed, but the Sudafed that I had grabbed was basically just like a marketing ploy to say that it was Sudafed. I wanted to just laugh because I'm like, well, how is somebody supposed to know that? And if I'm supposed to be going and getting stuff for me to help me and to not affect my baby, like, how am I supposed to know? Like, it was just one of those comical things. And again, just made me super paranoid about taking these pills. If you are sick and you are pregnant, make sure you get really good clarification from your doctor on exactly what you should be taking and what you should be looking for and avoiding and all of that kind of stuff, because I just sent a message through the little portal and I wished that I had probably called. That might have made me a little bit more at peace about it. But I knew that by the time I got to that pharmacist and all that, I knew my doctor's office was already closed and nobody would have even been able to answer my question anyway. So I was trusting the pharmacist at that point. So I did spend all weekend resting, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Super hard for me to do because on Fridays and Saturdays, I am 100% cleaning, running errands, doing all the things. And it's so hard for me to just stop and sit and let someone else take care of me. It's so hard. And it was probably a very good lesson that I needed to learn because, you know, once you have baby, I'm gonna have to rely on a lot of people to help me and to help baby, and it's just not in my nature to do. And so it was a very good little lesson to let me slow down just a little bit, let my husband help, and do those kind of things that I would have normally been doing. That is basically it for my update. Now I'm just gonna share my funny stories with you guys. So Saturday night, while I'm sick, that was probably always the worst. At night, I would always start coughing a bunch, and it was like my nose would always run and then, and so it was just miserable most of the time. But Saturday night, I had gotten a cramp in my calf, and I've been getting them, but I've been able to work them out for the most part by myself and not have any problems. This night, it was something so much bigger than what I could handle, and it was like I shot up out of bed. I was like moaning in pain, calling out for my husband, and he shoots up out of bed and he's like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, it's a calf cramp. And so I'm trying to like move my leg over so that he can like massage my calf and work it out for me. And oh my gosh, when he finally like got when it finally like worked out, he stops and he's like, we are gonna need a code word or something because you cannot shoot up out of bed making the noises that you just made and for it to only be a calf cramp when you're this pregnant. He was like, that's not possible. He's like, we need code words. So it was just funny because thankfully it was like right at 5 in the morning, and we're usually really early birds anyways. So he was like, well, I'm wide awake now, so I'm glad I'm not trying to go back to sleep. And like I said, I was super congested. So Sunday night or Sunday morning, I guess, I had been asleep and I had been laying on my left side, which faces my husband, and he had kind of been up for a while just playing on his phone. And I was in that like state where you're half asleep and half not, kind of a thing. And all of a sudden I heard this like really loud noise, and it scared me so much. I like jumped in the bed and I looked at him and I was like, did you just fart? And he was like, no, babe, that was you. He was like, you snorted yourself awake. I had, I guess, been snoring and like had that big snort, and was apparently so loud that it scared me awake and scared me like to where I jumped in the bed. Just one of those other wonderful things with pregnancy is that I snore a lot more, and so usually he's very good about just letting me go with it and just letting it be, but usually he'll only check on me if he feels that I'm like having trouble breathing or I'm like being too quiet. Those are my funny stories. Again, I just share them with you so you can laugh, and if you have funny stories like that as well, drop those below. Let me know that I am not the only one out there with those. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. I hope you guys had a Happy New Year by the time you are seeing this. If you found this video helpful, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, click that little subscribe button. If you have any prayer requests, make sure you leave those below as well. I am always checking those. I'm always responding to you guys. And just keep me updated on where you are in your progress. I know so many of you guys have told me that you are on your own frozen embryo transfers, or you're on your own trying to conceive journey, and just keep me posted on where you guys are at. I'm always praying for you guys. So, but that is it for today's video. I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care and God bless.